everybody. So today we have Chris Sweetman. He's here to talk to us about the current divorce process and what his thoughts are about some amendments or some changes that can be made to our divorce process in the UK. Chris is with Fair Result, and he's really passionate about the welfare of children and families post-divorce and how that can be made easier, quicker, and also for the families themselves, how the divorce process, or what his thoughts are about the divorce process, can actually make it much easier for people going through divorce compared to what the current status is. So Chris, maybe you can just tell us what is the divorce process at the moment?
The divorce process at the moment is basically split into three parts. The actual legality of the divorce process, which is done predominantly now online. Then there's the issue resolving the financial aspects of a marriage. And if there are any children involved, then the third part of the divorce process is resolving any arrangements that you need to make in respect of the children.
Okay. And what are your thoughts, Chris, about that process compared to what you would like to see happen, and why?
My personal views are that the process at the moment is actually the wrong way round.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to start the divorce process, which is the legality of ending the marriage, which takes an application of about 20 minutes online, then a waiting process of 20 weeks for a conditional order to be granted by the court service, and a further 6 weeks before the final order is granted by the court, which formally ends and dissolves the marriage. In that time, parties are expected to sort out all the financial arrangements and all the children's arrangements. But unfortunately, the way the system works at the moment, in terms of being able to apply to court for a court listing, were you to need that in the financial or the children's hearings, the court system is so far behind at the moment that it doesn't allow the system to work within that 6-month window. My process would be actually, because of the contention and arguments that tend to happen sometimes with some divorces, it allows the process to elongate itself. And my view would be that the best way to deal with divorce, finances and children would be for those matters to be sorted out before the parties could actually apply for a divorce, ending the marriage, so that it would focus the minds of the parties themselves and the lawyers advising them that what was really wanted in the case was actually a resolution to the problems that have led to the families needing a divorce. So focus on the issues which are causing the problems, get those sorted out, and then allow the parties to get the formality of the divorce at the end. That, I think, would actually focus the minds of people on what they actually wanted, so that they could get the resolution to the children's proceedings. They could get the resolution to the finance, rather than being stuck in a system that's controlled by the courts and solicitors, who sometimes don't work at the speed that actually the families want them to work at. So essentially, turn it on its head. Start with the finances, start with the children, get those resolved, and then you can apply for the divorce. That would be my way of speeding up the process and providing some kind of emphasis and effort on the parties resolving the big issues.
Okay. And so, like you say, turn the process on its head. And, if this is what you want, then get this done first, and then you can get the divorce. And that way people just focus on what is in front of them, as opposed to, I think you gave me an example of where you can have couples who are embroiled in conflict over a few £100. Where is it? What did you do with it? And this just can keep going.
This is a situation that often happens with the finances in the first instance, where parties tend to get stuck on finding out and resolving what the marital pot is. And unfortunately, the system is such that you have to disclose all your information. And I'm completely in agreement with disclosing all your financial information. But unfortunately, then the system allows lawyers to ask needless and repetitive questions about finances that occurred maybe 18 months ago, 12 to 18 months ago. We've had one instance recently where a lawyer insisted on obtaining financial bank statements from an account that had a closing balance of 8p and had a yearly balance that didn't move from the 8p in it all year. But because there had been a transaction outside the last year before the divorce, they wanted to see all those statements. And the client had to go through the process of applying to Virgin Money to get the statements because the bank account had been closed, all of which took time and created more animosity between the parties when both of them knew this joint account had literally no money in it. But unfortunately, the system, because of the way lawyers work, meant that they wanted to cover every base and ensure that they'd seen this statement. And that added at least 4 months to the process by the time that they'd raised the questions, obtained the bank statements, and then accepted that there was nothing more behind the 8p bank account.
4 months to the process. It added 4 months to the process, but we haven't even touched on how much more it costs that could have been avoided.
Thousands of pounds were added to the legal bills just because the parties wouldn't simply confirm to their lawyer that that there was 8p in this account. My client was telling me that's all there was, but unfortunately, on the other side, we were getting a situation where they wouldn't accept it without the process being disclosed fully. That cost my client a lot of money, a lot of time, and in reality, an awful lot of hassle between these two people and the children that were involved, because the parties were arguing about finances and they couldn't end the divorce and they couldn't move on. If they wanted to move on, get those finances sorted out straight away, quicker, sooner, more proactively, and then allow the divorce process to go ahead.
I'm just wondering, Chris, with what you're proposing, the changes that you're proposing, do you see that kind of new system not working for some couples? Let's say...
No, I see that the system would work for couples, because actually the couple who wanted to get divorced, the couple who wanted to move on in life, the couple who wanted to introduce a new partner to the children, who want the divorce to be ended, would actually put pressure on their lawyers to move quicker, faster, and with a more urgency on resolving the issues. Unfortunately, the system works at the moment where there's no incentive to move quickly in a divorce process. If the clients were in charge saying, we desperately want to get divorced, but there was a system in place that said, you can't get divorced until you've sorted the children and the finances out, then I'm sure that there will be more compromise, more settlement, more proactive investigation of what was needed to resolve the issues, because the parties themselves would be driving it more. Whereas at the moment, there's a delay in the court system, there's a delay in the process, it's very slow and cumbersome. Even since the new divorce process came in April 22, where the idea was that there would be this 6-month process, divorce and financial and children's resolution are still taking in excess of 12 months in the majority of cases, and that's not good for the parties. Make them focus on their real goals and then let them get the formality of the divorce ended at the end of the resolution of the main issues, the children and the finances.
Okay, I was wondering if, you know, if it's almost like saying, okay, you want to get a divorce, then you need to finalize your finances and the children arrangement. And then in my mind, I was thinking, but what if there was abuse in the relationship, or there was addiction in the relationship, and one parent or one half of the couple is made to feel like, oh, you know what, forget everything, let's just get the, you know, take whatever it is that you want, I just want my divorce. But then I think what you're saying is that they're not doing it on their own. They'll still have solicitors with them to advise them. So that's not a case that would
no.
Yeah, that's not a scenario that would...
When there are real issues surrounding the children and the needs of the children and what they want, clearly the focus would be on resolving the issues. But because they're still going to be legally represented, there's going to be a pressure from the parties to resolve it, rather than a stagnation period, which doesn't help anybody. But they would always still be assisted by whatever advisors they chose, to make sure that they weren't simply just acquiescing to something that wasn't in the best interest of them financially, or more importantly, in terms of the children.
Okay. Well, Chris, you know, at the Divorce Magazine, where you're going to appear, we are very big on, you know, as amicable divorces as possible. And we are very child-centered and child-focused when it comes to divorce, because we just want the best for the children.
We're moving into that as well, actually,
Yeah.
trying to ensure that parties focus on the main issues straight away. Unfortunately, there are still some old-fashioned lawyers out there who don't want to do that approach, where the main issue is to resolve the problems rather than create some problems.
Okay. Thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for coming and speaking with me today at the Divorce Magazine. And for those who have not yet subscribed to the Divorce Magazine channel, go on to YouTube and you will find the link will be at the bottom and you can subscribe there. Thank you so much, Chris.
No problem. Thank you very much. I hope your listeners enjoy it.
Yes, I hope so too. I think they will. I think you've made some really good points.
Thank you.